Thank you guys so much for making some time for us today as we move forward in our webinar series, Automating the Customer Lifecycle. And today we're going to talk about orchestrating AI for smart Scrum meetings. And I brought a really smart guy to join us today, my good buddy Frank Mummer, one of our sales engineers. I'm Danny Torbett, everybody. I'm the Analyst Relations Manager for Decisions. And I used to be a sales guy. Now I'm well, I don't really know what I am, but I'm doing the webinar today and I'm excited to be here. And we're excited you're here as well. Before we get started, I just want to plug a couple of events that we have going on. We do a training event called Submerse. We do them about every other month these days. And the next one is going to be here in Virginia Beach, which is where our headquarters is, which is amazing. We're not paying that Silicon Valley rent. Submerse is an amazing 3-day intensive training event that we hold, as I said, once every other month. We bring our prospects, our customers, our partners together with our developers and architects and founders, and we all get in a room and we do some training on the platform, but we also talk about other relevant use cases. This year we have 2 tracks, a beginner's track as well as a master track for more advanced developers. And we also have a lot of fun. So we would love to see you down at the beach, March 5th through the 7th. Get an early kick on your spring activities. Also, we were recently featured in the Spark Matrix for Digital Decisioning Platforms 2023. We're really highly marked in this report, and it has a lot of great insights about us and the competition. And you can download a copy at decisions.com/Sparks Matrix Digital Decision Platforms 2023. Go check it out. As we're going through the webinar today, please, you don't feel like you have to hold all your questions till the very end. We've got several of our engineers and architects on to answer those questions in chat. So just let them fly and we'll try and answer as many as we can as we're going through the presentation. And I'll try and weave some of them into the conversation as well. Quick stop on agenda, the things that we're going to cover today. So the very first thing is, what is the customer life cycle? So for today's purposes, we're going to be talking about the decisions customer life cycle, how we reach our prospects, how we acquire them, convince them that we're the right partner, convert them to become customers, retain them. So think about customer service and account management, all of those different parts that make up that life cycle. Your life cycle in your business might be different, but these are just kind of some basic constructs to work from for our demonstration. We'll talk a little bit about what Decisions is. If you're not familiar with Decisions is a no-code software development platform. Basically, our core value is we just help you build complex software really quickly, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And then Frank will talk to us a little bit about our OpenAI module that we added last year and how our customers and how we're internally using it. We'll take a little demo to show you some of the behind the scenes on what that looks like, and of course open it up for questions and answers at the end. Thanks so much for making some time for us, everyone. So this is how the customer lifecycle looks at decisions. Like I said, your business might be different, but it kind of is a graphical representation of what that looks like. Acquiring that new customer, converting them to being a customer, retaining them, and making sure that they continue to be a customer over time to build those long-lasting business relationships. This is an overview of all of the different webinars that are in the series, and we've already done a bunch of them, as you can see by the ones here highlighted in red. These are on demand, so you can go out and download these and check these out right now. And we would encourage you to do that. Chase is actually our producer. I'll put a link in the chat here to take you directly there. Next in the series, on February 8th, we're going to be talking about internal team handoffs. What do we do when we get that customer? Do we hand that customer off to our customer success and account management functions? How do we make sure that they're prepared to serve that customer in the best way possible? So go ahead and register for the next one. Also on February 22nd, call prep using ChatGPT. Check the whole series out at decisions.com/customer lifecycle. So a quick explanation about Decisions. Decisions, as I said, is a no-code software application development platform. You don't need to be a software engineer to use it. It comes with a rules engine to make decisions inside of an application. Not just statement rules, but things like truth tables and matrix rules and rule sets and rule chains. And basically, if you can write a sentence in English or fill out a spreadsheet, you're fully qualified to build the logic for any application in Decisions. The second feature is a workflow manager. So think of similar platforms that you've heard of. It's a drag and drop user interface to actually build workflows and applications. We have a custom code step library of over 4,000 or 5,000 custom code steps. You simply drag and drop those onto a canvas to build applications and automations. We also come with process mining, so you can gauge the efficiency of the things that you build, identify bottlenecks or the least expected path that occurs in an application or an automation. It also comes with an open API integration layer, which basically means that it can talk to any modern software. We also come with 70 pre-built modules for the most common business applications out there, things like Salesforce and Dynamics and SAP and your financials and your HR systems. We make bringing those together really easy. And finally, it comes with an interface designer to design unique customer experiences or user interfaces. Over on the left, you see the three main patterns of automation that we fulfill. And the first one is that pure business rules application. The rules engine just gives us a place to centralize business logic and then expose that logic to business users to edit and maintain using graphical design tools. It gets the logic out of stored procedures, custom code, or web pages, and puts it in a location that you can just easily maintain it and edit it without diving into the code, all visually. Our next use case is what we call extend and expand. And it's really common when we work with a customer that they already have some major projects going out of the box and that need to be a part of their automation solution. This could be your CRM systems, your ERPs, databases, or other products that are built to handle a part of the process. Decisions is designed to integrate with these existing out-of-the-box solutions and automate the special processes that these systems don't do really well. Salesforce is, supposedly magic right out of the box, but we've found being able to use a no-code platform like Decisions to get Salesforce to do what they promised it would do right out of the box has been really easy. Taking that previous step a bit further, we often act as an orchestration layer between different applications. If you have several applications that have users and data in, you can use Decisions as kind of a data middleware to bring data in from one application, trigger an activity for another application, or populate an outcome in yet another. And our most common use case is to act as an orchestration layer between various software applications or services, and then engage end users in those workflows that cross those application boundaries. So that's just a very high level about the platform. Like I said, the best way to find out is to actually see it for yourself. Reach out to us at sales@decisions.com to arrange for a demo and ask us about a proof of concept. Let's see here. Frank, did you want to maybe tell us a little bit about the Decisions OpenAI module that we added to the platform last year?
Absolutely. So in this customer lifecycle series we're doing right now, we're focused on the different ways people can utilize the recent advances in large language models to help their process automations. The advantage to using these is that they process plain language very well. Data needs much less manual formatting to make it usable by our automation logic. Really quick for right now, and I'll touch on this again later, in order to leverage the power of ChatGPT and Decisions, all you need to do is navigate to the features folder in the environment, and you'll see a whole slew of modules. I think Danny said there's like 70 of them, that you can activate these to expand Decisions capabilities, including the one for ChatGPT's creator, which you see highlighted here, OpenAI. So, with that, let's go ahead and now talk about what we're going to be doing today. First, we're going to lay some groundwork with what actually are Scrum meetings, just in case anybody's not aware what they are. So this slide is just to cover the basics of Scrum. It's a project management methodology with a lot of tools to help make sure projects are completed, scope is managed, and risks are identified. There are 5 ceremonies associated with that, ranging from the super quick daily stand-up, or supposed to be super quick daily stand-up, and the longer once per sprint ceremonies to plan sprints or reflect on what was accomplished during them. Those are the later ones on the bullet list there.
I've had the pleasure of being in some of these Scrum meetings with you guys, Frank, and this is really challenging. There's a lot of information flowing around the table as folks are talking about this stuff. You've got 10 different people in there taking notes on 10 different versions of what they're hearing and saying in the conversation. There's a lot of stuff that sometimes just doesn't sneak through. I know that was a challenge for us before this came along.
Definitely. Failing to properly document the outcomes or action items of a Scrum ceremony can result in unforecasted scope creep, missed opportunities for increased development velocity, inefficiencies in keeping everybody up to date. You can see some of the challenges outlined there on the left. But on the right, we talk about how good record keeping and documentation opens us up to automate customer updates and get our tasks properly organized in a way that dependencies don't end up roadblocking you and things like that. We can also identify the scope additions that everybody is the most concerned about, things that will result in increased budgetary concerns.
Right. The process that we're about to show you, this is just a high level of what this looks like. But for decisions, we use a platform called Gong to actually extract transcripts from our meetings. So we'll actually demonstrate that to you. It could be a flat text file from a report taken, or it could come from Zoom or anything else that generates a transcript. We'll then import that transcript into the model that we've built for these summaries. And OpenAI will then run the analysis in that model and transform all of that unstructured data into a summary of the meeting for us, so nothing gets missed. And then we also will use decisions to push out communications to the team of that summary. That sound right? Sounds right, doesn't it, Frank?
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, all right, cool.
I'll go ahead and take over the presentation at this point. Hi, everybody. For the benefit of anybody showing up late, my name is Frank Bumbert, and I am a pre-sales engineer with Decisions. I get to take the existing Decisions platform and use it to make fun new tools and applications that hopefully become widely available to our customers and to our own endeavors here at Decisions. Currently, we're exploring what leveraging the recent advances in artificial intelligence and large language models like ChatGPT can offer up. Previous webinars talked about customer onboarding and capturing requirements in initial customer meetings. Today, we're going to talk about using ChatGPT to summarize Scrum meetings based on call transcripts. But first, let's talk about some quick setup. I said I'd come back to this. If you're a Decisions customer or will soon become one, you may ask yourself, does the product come out of the box ready to integrate with ChatGPT? And the answer is yes. As mentioned before, you just have to do one thing first. We have in our included modules an entry for OpenAI. You just add that to your environment and you're good to go. That's it. With that little bit of work out of the way, let's see what we can do with it. Here I am showing you a super simple dashboard for this demo that I'm going to use to kick off our process. I'll walk you through the process end to end as from a user perspective, and then I'll dig into the logic itself and I'll show you how it was accomplished. So I'm going to click on this button on the dashboard to kick off our manual process input. And here it's asking us to identify what kind of daily Scrum or what kind of Scrum ceremony this is. We're going to go ahead and pick the daily stand-up. Short to the point. Let me show you an example of the transcript that we are actually going to be uploading today. And it's going to be this guy. This is just a sample text of what a great daily stand-up looks like. The developers talk about what they accomplished, what they're going to be working on, and any roadblocks that they're currently experiencing. So I'm going to take that text file as its file, and I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to ask it to summarize. This should not take too long. This takes maybe about 10-15 seconds. But now we see the results. It came up with a fitting name, fantastic. It identifies the participants. It proposes a high-level summary, and it calls out the different aspects of the daily stand-up. If we don't like this, we can close out and try again. Sometimes ChatGPT does better on a second try. It's a learning technology. Sometimes it needs another chance, but this looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and download this, actually.
One thing I want to make sure that people understand, that it could be any meeting, right? It could be your daily staff meeting. It could be a sales meeting. It could be a marketing meeting. Strip out the Scrum for right now and just think of a way to, this is a process to get more from the meetings that you're in. You know, I sit in meetings all day long, and I used to think that I was a pretty good note taker. It turns out I'm awful at taking notes. Now that I have these summaries to refer back to, it's just been a tremendous help, right?
Absolutely. We like using the Scrum ceremony for this particular demo just because all the Scrum ceremonies have a nice rigid structure to them, and it's very easy to show off when something has actually been processed successfully. Right. So yeah, with this, you can see it's the same information that was presented to us before, just presented as a nice looking PDF. We can also send it as an email. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll bring over my inbox to show you that we received it. Again, it's a unique formatting, but it fits the delivery medium, so that's fantastic. The last prompt we get here is a chance to commit it to database storage. We're going to go ahead and pick a client name, Acme Corp, why not? It's our list of fake demo clients. Then it gives us a chance to flag it as important or not. Maybe this is just a typical check-in with nothing really worthy of note, or maybe it's something critical came up and I need my bosses to be aware of it. So we can go ahead and pick that, and there we go. We'll go ahead and create a record. But before we do that, let's just one quick last check here. This particular form gives us one last chance to have a human eyeball review this document before it gets archived. The AI large language modules are really good at this point, but they can still make mistakes. So I know ours looks good, so we're going to go ahead and create the record. And we're going to navigate to this. I made another simple dashboard page where we can see the files that have been committed to database storage. All of these attachments look similar because I just loaded the database with dummy data for demo purposes to give you an idea of what it looks like. So if I refresh it, though, our Acme Corp entry comes up. And if you look at it, we can see it. And we can also tell that it's important. So you know, maybe my boss needs to see it. Or if somebody's trying to catch up on meetings that they've missed, they know to maybe prioritize the true ones. And that's kind of what I want to harp on for a second here. I want to tell you what I love about this. I was a project manager here at Decisions for quite a while, and collecting and documenting data from client meetings was maybe my least favorite part of the job. If I was managing 4 projects at once, then most of my day became meeting documentation. I would review my notes, I would re-listen to the calls, and I would try to prepare everything in a way that was most useful for my 2 target audiences: people who missed the meeting and my bosses when I needed to escalate a concern their way. If a developer was on PTO for a week, it wasn't the best use of their time to ask them to listen to 2 hours of meeting recordings when they got back. And if you've ever worked with department leaders, you know that their time is valuable, and anything I can do to speed up the digestibility of information is vital. Reading just the meeting summaries, or even better, just reading the important ones, makes the best use of everybody's time and bandwidth. I didn't care for how long it took to do that manually, but this automated process, you saw what? That was maybe a minute? I love it. Now, you may be asking, can't Gong summarize calls, or doesn't Zoom have an AI summarizer? Yes, but they aren't custom tailored to formatting their summaries based on the content style of the meeting that they're processing. A daily stand-up and a backlog refinement are 2 wildly different Scrum ceremonies, but neither of those services recognizes that. They just do a generic summary. With Decisions, we had a chance to specify how to treat the meeting transcript. I want to know the accomplishments. I want to know what they're doing today. I want to know the blockers. These are the 3 things that structure the meeting around a daily stand-up. The other services would just do a generic summary. We get to ask it to summarize things with our own questions. And I love that about this. So let's go ahead and let's dig into the logic. Straightforward, simple. From a high level, this is what's happening with our application. Kind of what Danny was talking about in that slide I asked him to talk about while I loaded up here. It collects the information. In this case, we did a manual transcript ingestion. It hands it off to ChatGPT, and when we get the response back, we use decisions to format the reply a little bit, attaching different sections of the response payload into properties of a data type. Then we package that all up in the few different ways for the user to consume, and then we save it to the database. The middle steps are the meat of this process, calling to ChatGPT and processing the response. There are notes on the first and last steps here that call attention to the fact that these are entirely modular and they can be swapped out for processes that fit your particular business's needs. Maybe you'd rather call a third-party service that stores your transcripts instead of manually uploading the text. No problem. And in fact, I'll show you that process in a second. As for the last step, over here, create Scrum meeting summary record, the file is being stored in the decisions environment, but maybe you'd rather it go elsewhere. That can totally be set up that way. It's all easily customizable. And on the note about it being easily customizable, I want to call to your attention to another thing about me. I, Frank Mumbert, person talking to you right now, I do not have a computer science degree. I did not grow up scripting or programming. I went to art school. I used to make 3D models for training simulations. Decisions is easy enough that I picked it up with no problem, and now I'm giving demos on the work I've done. I just want to emphasize the things that I'm showing you aren't particularly difficult to accomplish. This program is so easy, and art school graduate can use it. So let's dig into the, thank you. Let's dig into these some a bit more. The two most interesting steps here are going to be the second step and the fourth step. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the second one here. This is just a form ingesting things. That's not particularly interesting, but let's check out what's going on here. So you can see the three columns. That's because this flow is basically doing three things. It first determines which Scrum ceremony the user said this was. We said it was a daily stand-up, so we're going to go that path. If we had said one of the other ceremonies, it would go to one of these other things, where the second step of this process is writing the prompt for ChatGPT. Each of the different ceremonies are going to get different prompts. For example, we're going down the daily stand-up path, so that gets the prompt, and then we send it off for processing in this last step here. This second step, this is the most pivotal part of the process, the phrasing of the prompt to ChatGPT. Let's take a look at the daily stand-up prompt and check out how we constructed it. So this is it. It's basically tied up into four main parts here. The first part up here, I want ChatGPT to assume a persona to help it figure out how to phrase its reply. We tend to tell it to pretend to be a graduate of Harvard Business School. There are arguments to be made for other prestigious colleges, but the important thing is that we're not telling it to be a persona that will give us weird answers. We're not asking it to assume the identity of, say, a surfer or a toddler. I'm sure those people would have fun insights into the process, but that's not really our goal right now. Next, this chunk here. I am just initializing some property values. This is maybe the most technical aspect of this setup. The response is going to be a JSON payload, and rather than let ChatGPT try to figure out what to name everything, I'll go ahead and I'll declare the properties now so that my later flow steps can be on the lookout for them. Third, here's the fun part. I take those property values and I tell ChatGPT what to do with them in plain English. Here is where we get to really leverage the ease of use of the large language model. Anyone can write these. And if you aren't getting back exactly what you want, this is where you tweak the prompt to hopefully get the results that you're looking for. And last, the fourth section here, I give it some final formatting instructions, and that's it. Writing out that simple request now gives the user the power to summarize large piles of data. And if the response isn't correct, if it isn't formatted correctly, this is also super easy to update. You don't need a computer science background. You just need to be able to speak plain language. As I navigate back, I think I'll use this opportunity to pause for any questions, if anybody has any. If not, I'm just going to navigate.
Yeah, you're good. Tim is like a machine in the chat at answering all the questions.
Oh yeah, he's a monster about it.
He is a machine.
All right. So, like I said, we're going to skip over this flow. It's mapping and it's boring to look at. What instead we're going to do is we're going to go to where all the data gets packaged up. Here it is, our packaging flow. The first step, again, is going to try to figure out what Scrum ceremony we were going down, because each one might require slightly different formatting to best prepare the results. I didn't include the other ceremonies here, the other paths, because they're all very similar. And for the purposes of the demo, it would overwhelm the screen. So they're very easy to make. We're just going to go down the daily stand-up route for right now. If you remember the confirmation pop-up we got, all of the information that was displayed was just in basic HTML text. Additionally, the email that was sent out to the users, it used that same text, just formatted slightly differently. Let's take a look at how that might actually be structured, just to give you an idea of what actually went into formatting that email. So yeah, a couple color bars, and mostly we're just passing in values. Easy enough.
That's one of the great things I like about this this merge text editor. You know, you can use the different elements of workflows that you're building to personalize communications, right? All of the data that's passed through a workflow is then available to you everywhere else in the workflow.
Absolutely. So that's two of the summaries put together. First one in that pop-up just going, hey, does this look correct? And then it's so similar to the one that gets sent out to the email that we can do that in the same step here. Next up, in the green box, we take that formatted text and we turn it into a PDF. This is what the user can download, and it's also potentially what gets saved into the database if that's a feature that you're interested in pursuing. The name, I have it updating the file name. It could be elegantly set in the same step, but for demo purposes, I like to break the steps out a little bit so you can get a better idea of what each part of the process is and get a better sample of some of Decision's toolbox here. And last up in this lovely yellow section, I'm calling out colors, apologies if anybody's colorblind, but we'll say this last box here. We get our pop-up that gives us a chance to download the PDF and or send the email. If we send the email, it just goes over to this lovely email step. So this whole process, in the span of about a minute or two, you all saw it from the beginning to here. I have the ability to deliver a bespoke, relevant to our use case, summary record of the meeting for anyone who needs it. I didn't need to spend an hour repeating the recording over and over to make sure I got all the details. And no one who missed the meeting needs to set aside time to listen to the call. If I need to quickly bring additional stakeholders onto the project, I have this amazing resource highlighting the key takeaways from the meeting that have happened so far. I mean, how cool is that? I want to also quickly cover the Gong integration I set up. But first, while I navigate there, I'll ask if there are any questions, especially if there's anybody who'd rather speak than type. If not, I will go.
How many lines of code did you write to build this?
I wrote 0 lines of code. This is all drag and dropping steps. Maybe the exception could be made for that ChatGPT prompt that got sent out, but most of that was in plain text. I didn't need a coding background to write that. I just
didn't need to know Python or .NET or anything like that.
Now, having a little bit of an understanding of JSON helped a little bit with structuring the way I wanted the property set up on the return, but that was a 5-minute search on the internet just to make sure I had the colons and the semicolons in the right place.
Jerry had a question. Could I store the summary generated with the original audio to give team members the option? Yeah, absolutely you could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could put it in the communications with a link to the recording. If you use a platform like Gong or Zoom, that you get that little link, the recording of your Zoom call. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. If Gong stores it and it makes it publicly accessible through an API call or a database call, then yeah, you can totally get it and attach it to a project.
100%.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this up just to have it available, but I'm going to go ahead and go back to the main dashboard here. And I'm going to real quick talk about the Gong integration. So I'm going to kick off this process. We're going to enter a Gong call ID, which I have pre-looked up. I know there's only one here because I wanted to make sure I grabbed one that was an actual Scrum meeting, and I didn't think you all would find it entertaining to watch me type that manually. What it's going to do is it's going to do a quick database ping and pull some details before getting to work. It's just confirming that this is the one I want to pull. Is it the Zoom meeting on the 22nd at 10 a.m.? Well, yes, it is, and that was a daily stand-up. I want to make sure that it knows how to process it correctly. And I am not going to hit the summarize button in this demo. I am not going to hit it. Like I said, this is a real call we had with the client, and I don't want ChatGPT showing anything on this demo that identifies them. Instead, I'm going to go into the flow that kicks off this process, so you can see how something like that is built in Decision while I can still protect the client's anonymity. So hopefully you all appreciate that. This is what the overall flow looks like, and you'll notice 80% of it, these last 4 steps, are exactly the same as the other one. That's the beauty of having modular and reusable flow steps that we can leverage here. The only thing that's different is this first step, the one kicking it off. If you want to create a new process that just sources your transcript from a different source, this is the only thing you need to change. It's incredibly quick and easy to adjust things for your business needs. So I'm going to go ahead and, since this is actually really interesting, we're going to go ahead and go into the flow here. And this is what the whole flow looks like. It's not too bad. The first thing I do, I'm going to initialize some variables. I just like doing that at the beginning of a flow where a lot of variables are going to get handed around. I could declare them in the steps where I need them. I just like doing it this way to keep it consistent. And if anybody comes in behind me and they have to support this or modify it, they can easily identify where the variables are coming from. Next up, this is what the form that popped up when I clicked on the dashboard. The form that requested the call ID, and it does a quick database check to confirm you specified the correct item, and then you can either go back and pick a different call ID, or you can ask it to summarize. And this is the step where I cut off the process. This is where it's going to pull, it's going to query the database with a SQL call, and it's going to return the transcript line by line with some additional properties on each line, a little bit of metadata. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. I could probably just take that chunk of data that comes out and give it to ChatGPT, and it could try to work with it, but I would rather do a little bit more prep work to guarantee that my results are going to be useful. I know from manually uploading a transcript that something formatted like this has a very high chance of coming back from ChatGPT in a usable configuration for my later flow logic. Remember, I want to be able to leverage the work that was already done for the manual upload version without having to write all new logic. So let's just format this call that's happening back here. Let's format that transcript in a way that looks like this, so that I know that it works. So maybe the grouping here was a little bit of call information at the top, some attendees, and then the actual transcript that happens. Let's aim for that. So this loop that's happening right here is going to take every line from the transcript and format it in a similar way to that other transcript I just showed you. Additionally, it creates a list of participants for our file that it can go on that transcript. That's part of the prompt that we asked ChatGPT to look into. To show what it creates, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into the Decisions Debugger. This is an incredibly powerful resource that lets you see step by step what our flow did. To be useful in the next step of this process, that second step on that main flow, we need to pass out the Scrum ceremony type. You remember that's the first step in all those subsequent flows, and a transcript formatted in a similar fashion to the other. So let's see what we end up with. So you may recognize this form. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing with it. We're going to go find that call. And we're going to go, yeah, that's the right call. Totally. And we're going to ask it to summarize. I've checked before, and there is no client data if I just show you the first and second return from the SQL database call here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show that to you, just so you get an idea of what the data we're working with looks like. So each line in that call transcript looks like this. This is a text chunk, I guess. So it's got the call ID, and it talks about who the speaker was. This is one of our Decisions employees, Conrad. He's fantastic. If you have a chance to work with him, I recommend it. And this is the text that Gong captured and transcribed. And that just, all of these are like that. And what I needed to do is prepare a transcript that looks like the other one. So I'm not going to scroll any further down because there may be client data. There's like 254 spoken word chunks according to Gong. So this loop goes through all of them, formats them, and adds them to an ongoing transcript file. Now, this is realistically the last step in the process, just combining it all together to create the transcript, and this would normally connect to the out step. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to click on that right now because I needed to redact that client information so I can show it to you in a way that doesn't betray the trust our clients put in us. So I'm going to show you what the final format of that document looks like. And you'll notice it's very similar to what we had before. Fantastic. With all the lovely redactions. And it goes through, and yep, if my logic worked, we are redacting the client, so nobody can figure out who it is. That's fantastic. And that's about it. It's close enough now that the prompts that we wrote for the manually uploaded version now work for this version. So with just a little bit of work, we now have doubled the ways we can kick off this process and get the meeting summary we want, and not just relying on what Gong can give us by default. And that's it. This whole process now takes what used to be hours of work each day for me, and it turns it into a simple automated process. If I had this when I was a project manager, I could see this freeing up time to allow me for more client engagement, more risk assessments, and just checking on the well-being of my dev team. There are probably other opportunities that you all can think of that a tool like this suddenly makes possible. Decisions makes parsing data returned from a large language model easy. It makes adjusting the requests easy, and it makes expanding that functionality easy. I hope you all are as excited about the possibilities of this new technology that it's exploring, and I am thrilled Decisions has allowed me the opportunity to create fun new tools to leverage it. That's it for the demo portion of this. I want to thank you all for listening to me. I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Danny for some last-minute housekeeping. Danny.
Frank, how long did it take you to build this?
If I had to do this end-to-end with no prior work done, a couple of days. Most of it's in testing, just making sure that ChatGPT is returning things that are useful in a way that Decisions can further use them. Yeah, really, Decisions work great. It's ChatGPT that I had the most time negotiating with.
Yeah, it's getting better all the time. I love that.
Yes, sir.
Man, thank you so much, Frank. I always love learning from you. You're such a smart dude. Everyone, thank you so much for making some time for us to learn a little bit about Decisions. If this was interesting to you and you'd like to learn more about Decisions and how you could leverage large language models in your automation practice, reach out to us. Send an email to us at sales@decisions.com, or just hit us in the chat channel right here. We'll make sure that we hook you up with an account executive and a sales engineer. Also, be sure to come back on the 8th for our next in the Customer Lifecycle series, which is for internal team handoffs. And also Submerse, March 5th through the 7th in Virginia Beach, our 3-day training event. We would love to see you here. Thank you all so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Thanks for thinking of Decisions. Have a great day.